The clock strikes 12, I step into the haze. Whispers call me from 1,000 graves. Shadows dance in corners out of sight. I chase the unknown deep into the night. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. A flicker, a chill, a shadowed hand. The unseen lingers where I stand. Through creaking doors and empty halls, I hear the echoes of forgotten calls. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. And the eyes that watch from a place unreal, a touch so cold it makes you feel they're near but hidden, veiled in shade. I walk with ghosts, I'm unafraid. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. Happy Chris, or a little late, but Merry Christmas, Happy Yule. I hope your holidays were blessed, filled with joy and delight. I haven't done a writer's workshop in a while, so and I haven't went live writing on a book for a little while, so I decided to combine the two today. I'm working on Reign of the Draugr, Dawn of Armageddon, which is the Norse. Come on. Sorry, Jessica Jones was just messaging me. But it's the Norse zombie, basically. I've done a show on zombies and vampires, and Draugr is brought up in both of those categories from Norse mythology. And this is in this zombie book, this is something different. I'm taking a more practical, a more common sense way of what would happen if zombies actually existed. And that's kind of what we're doing in this book. Currently, I'm on chapter 16 called The Nightmares. If you recall, I talked about this briefly in a show one time. Nightmares is from Norse mythology. They're literally black horses, black mares that ride around at night, entering people's dreams and wreaking havoc. And that's the short and dirty version of this. If you wonder why I keep looking this way, I've actually got the screen over here because I've got the book on my main screen here. Um, but in in this here, you most of your books, most of your movies, they have people pretty much going back to a primitive state. And I don't think it would be reality if there was a zombie outbreak. There's somebody's going to be knowledgeable enough to be able to operate a power plant. There's going to be somebody knowledgeable enough how to load and make rounds. This is the kind of concept that I'm coming with this book. So currently I'm on chapter 16, which I just realized I forgot to do something. So I need to do it real quick. I haven't updated my table of contents yet. I just happened to look up and see that. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, it's updated. So this one's called Nightmares, and I'm about halfway through this chapter. See, I'm on two. Let me actually pull this up for you guys. Hey, Auntie. Oh, did you? That's awesome, Jonaside. Which one did it tell you? Whoa, that is weird. Let's try this again. Oh, I know what I hit the wrong one. That's what I did. We'll try this again. I'm so used to hitting that panel, I didn't even look. I'm sorry I can't make this much bigger. This is just sadly how this thing lets me work. But currently, I've got 124 pages going. At 40,874 words. I'm 16 chapters. So I'm close to having this book done. So in this chapter, I've got one, two, oops, dang it, three. I'm on the fourth page, which I'm on almost to that halfway point of being done. Usually my chapters are about 8 pages long. Sometimes I do books where each chapter is 10 pages long. Most commonly, I do this. Hey, Urso, did I miss him? Yeah, hey, Urso. Most commonly, I do about 8 pages per chapters. It's not really long books. They're not short books, but they're not long books. They're at that novel. Um, and sadly, it's just for me, writing wise, it's easier doing it this way. So in this one, in this chapter here, we'll kind of, I'm going to end up having when I do the first edit, that's when I have it read it out to me. But right now he just got rescued. They thought he was dead, and he just got rescued. He's recovering. Hey, Kyle. Uh, cool, man. Be safe doing that, buddy. Yeah, I decided to do it live because working on my book because oh, you're welcome, Auntie. Because I haven't done one of these in a while. I like to do these style lives from time to time to interact with you guys, so you guys get to see the process of how it is for me to write. If you got questions about the book, this is also an opportunity for you to ask your questions, and we'll answer it. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. Now, I'm not going to give the whole book away. I'm not going to give the ending away. I'm not going to give none of that. This is just you getting to see me work on my book, give you a chance to ask some questions about why I'm writing this book, why I wrote something a certain way, just for you, the readers, to be able to interact with me while I'm working. It's fun. And and like I said, I like to do it for a while. So, anyways, where I'm left off here, the nightmares are plagued his dreams, which he doesn't know about it. Ron Stumper is the main character in this book, and this book takes place in St. Joe, Missouri. When you buy this book and read it, you can look up the buildings and the street names, go on Google Maps, and actually find it. So, hey, Roger, while you're reading the book, you can literally get on Google Maps while you're reading this book and follow every step that Ron and the community take. That I wrote this way for a reason. I wanted to bring some reality into a fictional book. So this is stuff I like to do. All my books, there is a lot of reality in those books as far as locations, time frames, and stuff like this. This is another modern cryptid horror that I got. The same as Beast of the Ozarks. You can literally follow Beast of the Ozarks on Google Maps, and every place I talk about in that book, it's an actual place. And I've been there. I've been to these places. I'm sorry, Jessica's messaging me. Um, sorry, I had to respond to her real quick. So that's kind of what I like to do. Even my sci-fi has reality in those books. You can go in there and I write down what NASA calls this location, the description of this planet, everything. But also write in there what I call it in that book. So in the book, we'll say the NASA name for that area, but whenever they take over, they say, "Well, I'm going to change it to this," and this is what it's going to be called. So that's just a writing approach that I like to do as an author to bring some reality into my writing. To me, it makes it more engaging. I'm not sure if I did or not, but Eric, I did attempt to ask Dave on his YouTube video from yesterday. No response yet. Oh, no kidding. Oh yeah. Yeah, keep me posted on that, Aaron, if you wouldn't mind. So this is going to be another one of those fun ones that you can actually follow the Google Maps on, the same as Beast of the Ozarks. The only difference between this and Beast of the Ozarks is I'm not writing in the mindset of the creature because it's just not how I started the book. So that is going to be one of the differences between Beast of the Ozarks, modern cryptid horror, and this one. So, anyways, he doesn't realize he's in a dream, and these nightmares are plaguing his dream, and he's freaking out, man. He's having issues here, and so this is kind of where we're at on this. Well, there's finally a ghostly figure that's acknowledged him when everybody else doesn't acknowledge him. So that's where we're at on this. He's trying to follow this figure and see what's going on, because he's confused, and anybody in this situation would be. When something, and I don't know about you guys, I've had so many dreams that has felt so real. When I woke up, I was very confused because I did not know where I was. Oh, hey Roger, I'm sorry, I don't know if I said hey to you or not. Hey buddy. I was confused where I was at. So, but I've also had such realistic dreams that I knew where I was, and then all of a sudden I'm here and I'm trying to figure out, why the hell am I here? How did this happen? What's going on? And literally these emotions is what's going on in my head, because in my mind I'm like, how did I go from here to here? And I didn't know I was dreaming. I've took that aspect and I've applied it to this chapter. Now this chapter is actually a very important chapter for the book, because this chapter will play out in a scenario later on. Hey, Jessica. So that's why this chapter is very important. It's taken me a little longer to write this chapter because A, I'm in dream state, and B, because it plays a pivotal role later on in the book. So let's get to it. So I'm left off on this last paragraph that I'm currently working on. I found myself going insane. I could not figure out what was going on. I frantically tried to get someone to notice me. I failed at every attempt. I dropped to my knees and screamed out my frustration. During my breakdown, something caught my attention. I slowly got up and walked towards a foggy figure that seemed to be watching me. I called out to it, "Hello, can you see me?" The figure did not respond. And sorry, my phone's vibrating again. This is where we're at. It did actually had a little bit more written on this, and it didn't save it, so we're going to have to pick up from there. Oops. Damn it. I got up and reached for the figure, but it was out of reach. As I took a step forward, it seemed to float that distance back. This puzzled me. So we're starting to see where this foggy figure is interacting with him, but not in the way that he wants. Was it seeming like an energy replay with some past event triggered by elements? No. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without giving the book away. The nightmares is wreaking havoc on him. He just got through killing a Draugr, an actual Draugr, not a risen. In this, I call the zombies the risen. They are a lesser form of Draugr. Now he just got through actually battling a true Draugr. And they thought he died. He literally sacrificed himself to save his people because they were getting jacked up by the Draugr. I mean, this thing was just flat whooping their butts. And he made a split second decision to sacrifice his life to save his people, and they all thought he was dead, but they never could find his body. They found the remains of the Draugr. They beheaded it and burned it like they're supposed to. But they never found Ron's remains. So, although some wrote him off as being dead, some still clung to hope that he was alive, and they come to find out he was. Conscious with an attitude of silence to some others with interact more. Yeah. So in this episode here, he's recovering in the nightmares, or this episode, sorry, this chapter here, he's recovering, but the nightmares have come and have plaguing his dreams, doing what nightmares do. I mean, that's exactly what nightmares do. They cause unrest, unease amongst the people, and that's what they're doing. But the thing with this nightmare is, it's also prophetic. So it's actually prophesying something that may or may not happen in the future. And all this will depend on what he does after this dream. And so I probably gave too much of the book away by explaining that, but that's about the best way I can explain what this ghostly figure is yes, he's a dream, but it's also a prophetic dream. So, and this is something that will play a huge role later on in the book. This figure will. So this one here says, even though my body ached all over and movement was hard on me, I had to catch the figure. I had hopes that it could explain to me what was going on. I did not know if I was alive or dead. This book is this book is being told from Ron himself. This book is written as Ron's telling the encounter of what happened during the reign of the Draugr. Ever just say nothing when people are trying to talk to you? People lose their minds. Yeah, and that's you're seeing that play off in Ron's head right now during his dream because he, like I said, he doesn't know it's a dream, and he's literally losing his mind until this figure appears because he can't see the faces of the people. They're not responding to him. They go around him like a mist does around an object. I mean, he's just he does not know what's going on, and he's losing his mind. And then this figure appears, so he focuses on this figure to gain somewhat of his composure back, because it's the only thing that actually acknowledges him to a degree. So it's writing in this way can be difficult because there's actually a lot of reality in this book, and it brings back memories. But that's what I like. That's why I like writing this way, is because it makes it very realistic. Because I mean, this is something that many people can um, relate to. So yeah, you hear, yeah, it's Aurora. She's outside the window wanting in. It's a nice day, and I'm tired of cats being cooped up in the house 24/7. So I'm making them stay outside for a little bit. But she knows I'm in here working, so she's like, I want to come in. So she's going to come by the window and meow. Uh, I tried to open up my windows and doors to let some fresh air in and get some of this old stale animal smell out of the house. But when I did, like a million flies freaking came in. Flies came back thick as hell with this warm snap. Oops. Oh, well, I found out what was going on. Oh, wow, it opened up. It opened up two. That's why I didn't have it. It opened up two windows somehow. That's why I lost a lot of that. Okay, here's back to my original. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. Or so. Um, so I'm trying. What the issue I'm having with this chapter is that I'm getting a little far ahead of myself. So I'm trying to space this out because I'm getting. I just get to writing and then I lose track of everything. And next thing you know, I've got everything I wanted to explain in this chapter done, and I'm like, hey, I'm not even halfway done yet. So I'm trying to figure out how to draw it out. I'm going to save at least one or two pages for when he wakes up, but I've still got a page and a half of this dream I've got to write before I can even consider that. I did not know if I was alive or if I was dead. Um, the figure led me along the wall. The people of the community and even the risen seemed to be moving slowly. I watched them as I followed the figure. Um, so the wall, earlier in the book, Ron and the rest of the community would clear an area and take like cargo containers or flip 18-wheeler trailers over on her side and built a reinforcing wall that nothing could get through. So when I'm talking about the wall, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that wall that they built to secure them, keep them safe from the people outside that's not a part of the community, and to keep them um, safe from the risen. So that's what I'm talking about in the wall. Because there was an instance here earlier on in the book when they fought with a group of survivors that were they were nuts, and they called themselves saints. And that was a interesting fight, and that was actually a hard couple chapters to write because I literally had to put myself in the mentality of what these people were so that I could try to write it as appropriate or as accurate as possible. So literally I had to get in the mindset of what would these people be like. Little bit of a nugget for you. The saints are cannibals. That's I'll just give you that much of a nugget of who the saints are. They're cannibals. So I had to get in the mindset of what made these people think the way that they think and do what they decided to do, and how would they fight versus somebody very well equipped that set themselves up during this time versus somebody who didn't, who's just mentally not there. This whole the risen thing mentally shut the brain off basically. So it was an interesting couple chapters to write dealing with the saints. But what happened to Ron earlier was they found a power plant, and they's like, man, we want electricity back. And there was a couple people who knew how to run the power plant. Well, they had to go in and clear the power plant of the risen so they can get to work on it and be able to produce power again. And to me, that's reality. That's really what's going to happen if a zombie apocalypse ever happened. This is what people's going to look at. It's like, hey, I need to and I'll get an advantage if I have this versus if I don't have this. This will make this easier, make this better if I could do this. And that's how people's going to be. They're not going to go back to the ooga booga, walk around with a spear, bow. No, they're going to try to find a way to make survival a possibility and easier. That's just human nature, and that's kind of how I'm writing this book. Is just this is human nature. Hey, we got a power plant that can work. We got somebody knows how to work it. We got enough people to help run it. Let's clear it out and get to having power back again. And so that's kind of what happened to lead up to where we are now. They found a power plant. Yeah, there was a couple survivors. They were clearing out the power plant. There ended up being an actual Draugr there that was controlling what was going on in that area. And Ron had to fight it because it killed some of the people, and it was flat jacking people up, and it came to a point where Ron's like, man, I can't lose nobody else. No, I've only got one choice, and he sacrificed himself. To me, that's going to be reality during a zombie apocalypse. I don't know about your guys' opinion on that, but um, that is my opinion of how it would be. Yeah. Wouldn't that be towards cave people? It could be, We'll have to ask the big hairy feller out there. But so that's why I'm writing this, and this is why this zombie book's different than some of the rest out there, because this is, in my opinion, based more on reality than it is based on fantasy. Uh, eh. Uh, I watched them as I followed the faces of the risen were the only ones that I could make out. I was confused by this. Why is it that I can make their faces out, but not that of oh you booger of my community? So you were those of my community. So you're kind of seeing where he's trying to still comprehend what's going on with him, but there's behind every moment something odd hits him. Okay, I can see the faces of the risen clearly as day, but I can't see the faces of the community. So this is this constant war and turmoil that's going on in his head. Anything good he can't make out, but if it's bad, he can. Um, Grammarly helps me a lot with spelling, being I'm dyslexic, and my fingers getting away quite often too. Um, I continued on. The figure floated further away, and I did not want to lose it. I wanted answers. No, I needed answers. So you're starting to see his determination popping out here. He wants to figure out what's going on. Uh, I forgot how to spell that. River Styx. Gotta look it up real quick because I want to make sure I spell it right. Okay, that's what I thought. I knew I was spelling it wrong. That's why I caught myself. See, I like to add commas when they're not supposed to be there, and not add commas when they're supposed to be there. So that's another thing that I like about Grammarly. Are you saying you've been up late and fell asleep on the keyboard and wrote a few hundred pages? If corrected for you, weird. There's only 3 or 4 of us. Nah, no, I wasn't. The figure led me to the edge of the wall that was close to the Missouri River. It pointed towards the river, and I took a look. The river was no longer made of water, but that of the souls of the dead. Was I looking at the river of Styx? There's 2 chats. One in is like the bigger invisible box for the. Oh yeah, that's that little thing I got up in that corner down there. Beans, it's anytime I try to pull up somebody's comments, it jacks with my system now. I've got that up for now until I can figure out what's going on. Oh, is it? Yeah, yeah. Your guys' comments will show up there. Just because I can't bring your comments up and highlight it without jacking with my system. So I've got that box there for now, so that way at least the comments can make it on the screen. Hey, Bounty. I just forgot how to spell that. Damn it. Come on, pop up for me. That's what I thought. Give me a second, guys. I got to look up a spelling. I just brain farted how to spell it. Usually I use my other computer screen, but means I've got it up for you guys. That's what I thought. That was the letter I had out of place. That's why it threw me off. Um, then I started to get worried. Did I die from my injuries so shortly after being rescued? Am I in the land of the dead? Is this true? Uh, right there. That's what I forgot. If this is true, then why am I not being taken to Valhalla by the Valkyrie? Have I not done enough to become to be welcome to? Or dang it, into the halls of the slain? Does Odin forsake me? So you're starting to see this play out in his head. So now he's being tormented again. I just spell things by how I think they're supposed to be spelled. Yeah, I do that often, Roger. Yeah, I do that often, buddy. Yeah. So you're seeing him start to now his mind starting to go insane again. He's like, "Holy crap! Am I dead? Is that the river Styx? You know, am I not welcomed by Odin? You know." So once again, the nightmares are trampling their hooves and causing pain and discomfort and unease within him again. That was a fat finger moment there. I looked. I looked to the. No, what? Do that. That's not what I wanted. I turned to the figure to ask what I was seeing. When I turned to him, my heart stopped. Okay. The figure was pointing a pistol at my head. I froze, not knowing what was going on or what to do. Did this figure bring me here? Oh, you took to show to show me what was beyond the wall, just or to just kill me. Um, being water, a portal, and a ferryman, Sharon takes you across the Styx River too many places. I'd think, yeah. Otherwise, people being would try to swim. Yeah, no kidding, man. If I remember right, if you jump in, then your soul becomes part of that river. Yeah, if my mythology is correct. There was a flash of light and a quiet, echoed sound of a gunshot, and then there was nothing. You are. But if memory serves me correctly, in that mythology, if you jump into the river of Styx, you become a permanent part of that river. I could be wrong, but I think so. It's been a little while since I studied that, but if I remember correctly, it's something like that. I woke up suddenly, sweat pouring off me and breathing heavily. I looked around and I was in my room, in my bed. Heather rushed in. What is wrong, Ron? What happened? So we're seeing him wake up now. Some greedy dude thinking, screw you, I'm keeping this coin for the ride and getting he's in tail when I get over there. um It took me a moment to realize that I was awake and this place was real. I listened for gunfire, but only heard the birds chirping outside the window. I turned to Heather and took her into my embrace. I am fine now, my love. Um, I just had a bad dream. That is all. So we're seeing him starting to grasp the reality that he just had a nightmare. Um, that's where we're at this point. He just realized that he's happy that it was just a dream. Um, and he clinged onto his rock, his center, which was his wife Heather. Heather, both Heather and Ron were Marines. Heather worked motor pool, where Ron was Marsoc. So they served together in the Corps, got married while they were in the Corps. Heather decided to ETA out and raise their family while Ron stayed in to help bring a stable income. So she's been his rock for a long time. And waking up, realizing it was a dream, seeing Heather there, he had to grab a hold of her because he needed to make sure that she was her, that his rock, his grounding was there. And so that's kind of the emotions that's going on in Ron's head right now because there was a time when Ron was in a dark place, and all this is in the book. was in a very dark place after experiencing some of the stuff he experienced while serving, and it almost cost him his marriage. Almost cost him his wife and his boys. And she was able to bring him out of that darkness. So she's always been a guiding light for him, a grounding for him. His rock that he can depend on, and it remains that way throughout this book. Dang it. After I finished hugging her, she stood up. Well, get yourself ready. I have breakfast ready. No, I need to change that. There's too many readies. I have breakfast made. I want you to sit outside and soak in some of the sunlight. It will aid in your healing. So you're seeing her kind of, okay. Hey, Muriel. Okay, he had a bad dream. Let's get him calmed down, get some food in him, get him back to healing, back into reality. So you're seeing how she's kind of shifting his focus, from this bad dream that he had, and get back into the land of the living. So another thing I like to do when I'm writing is actually putting in things that I say, or have done in my life. That's what this is actually coming to here. It says, I smiled at her and watched her leave the room. I loved watching her leave, but hated to see her go. That was a joke between us. Literally, that's me in a nutshell. I've been like that multiple times. So I always like to put a little bit of essence of me into my writing. And that's actually what that part is a little bit of me into that writing. right. I got up and put a t-shirt, put on a t-shirt and pair of shorts. My body ached, but I just muscled through the pain. I made my way to the kitchen and sat at the table. Heather poured me a cup of coffee and placed a plate of bacon, sausage, eggs, and toast in front of me. It smelled amazing, and my stomach growled in excitement for the meal it was about to receive. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought had too many. I don't know why. Sometimes it puts too many gaps in there, and I got to fix it. Um, hmm. After I finished breakfast, Heather helped me outside. She had a chair out there just waiting for me to sit in it. I did as she had asked of me, and I will admit the sun's light felt amazing. Being stowed up in that meat plant and then my home, to feel the warm embrace of the sun was a much desired feeling. Um, or how many pages am I at so far? So sometimes I'll get to writing and forget to count my pages. Two, four. So we're on the fifth page. Okay. So now I've got a couple more pages left, and this chapter will be done. What do you guys think of the chapter so far? No, not bad. We're at 42,021 words now. So I try to get around the 54,000 marks on words. So, I mean, we're 12,000 words shy of being at the goal. Um, but I'm kind of interested, from what you've seen going on. What do you guys think? Do you think think his storyline's going out pretty well? Because I now got to figure out how I'm going to end this chapter. Being it only took 4 pages to write the dream part of it, so I've got to figure out how to incorporate all that in the rest of this chapter here. From what I've seen so far, came in a little late. Heck yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it's So that's right. I'm sorry, Muriel. This chapter here is called Nightmares. Nightmares is actually from Norse mythology, and they're actually black mares that come in and to your dreams at night or while you sleep and cause pain and discomfort and unease. It's nightmares. I mean, literally what it is, and that's what this chapter is: the nightmares, and they're coming in and he didn't realize that he was asleep and. They really caused him a lot of pain and turmoil, and that's why when he woke up and seen Heather, he was excited because I mean he was literally going insane within his own dreams. Because right now, oh, another thing for those of you who didn't know, so at the beginning of every chapter, I'm actually writing these quotes. These are actual quotes that I come up with for every chapter, and I've done that. And I can kind of give you that's something I can give away. So, like in chapter one, Odd Morning, our past has always has a way of coming back to haunt us. It is what we do during that time that will define us. And then chapter three, it has started. The dead return and consume the living. The living kill what they need to survive and consume the dead. It is a part of the circle of life. And then three, the calm before the storm. Ooh, I need to fix that while I'm here. The calm before the storm. I always hated the calm before the storm. Your mind plays out things in your head that are not necessarily real, and that can cost you lives. This is dealing with combat. Um, Chapter 4, The Turning of the Tide. The Norns weave our destiny. We are mere mortals. Not all know what they weave for us. We can only hope they weave something good for us. And 5, The Saints. Some of us are saints, some of us are sinners, but some sinners call themselves saints, while some saints are sinners. A horrific sight. Many things in life will bring you horrors, but some things will bring you to horrific horrors. Some of us have seen those things and pray they never have to. 7, Flesh and blood. I have seen many horrors in my life, but the sight of humans eating other humans is a horror that I would not wish on another. And these are all things I've actually experienced. So every one of these quotes is out of my head. From the furnace into the fire. Life can be a devil in your life. Life can be a devil in your life. You can emerge from a hard time and think that you will come out of it to clear skies, only to see that you walked into another storm. During these times, you must remain strong. Unexpected help. Sometimes when the world seems to be overwhelming to you, when the walls seem to collapse upon you, an unexpected hand reaches out to help you out of the troubled time. 10, called in the Marines. Each country has a Navy, an Army, an Air Force, but there's only one Marine Corps. Marines are the battle-hardened Vikings of the modern age, answered only to the president. They can be sent out when when no other can. Feared by many, respected by all. Thank the gods for the United States Marine Corps. Surge of power. Energy is life, but energy can be death as well. Make sure you utilize the correct energy and not allow it to control you. 12, the Draugr. Death comes in many shapes and sizes. When he confronts you, look him in the eyes and spit in his face. Go out fighting, not as a lame duck. A tall tale. No one knows the feeling of willing sacrifice. The feeling of willingly sacrificing your lives for the service of others, quite like a warrior does. They are willing to lay their lives on the line so that you may sleep peacefully in your beds at night. the search. When we lose someone close to us, we mourn their loss, but forget that they still live within us. So when you are sad about the loss of someone close to you, look within you and you will see them again. Return from the grave. Sometimes when you think someone is gone, they have a way of showing back up. Make sure that if they need to remain gone, that they do. And then nightmares. The ghostly hooves came sometimes or can sometimes be heard. They come to torment your dreams. Unrest and fear be their mission. They prance through the dreams of men. Oh, those dreadful nightly steeds called nightmares. These are all that these are, like I said, all these are out of my head. I've gotten cold targets that had been made to eat other. Yeah, they can just from before someone makes me do something like it. Yeah, it's. I mean, you'll be so. One way for me to cope with what I've done and what I've seen in my life while serving my country is actually in the books. I put things in my books without letting you know that that is actual crap that I've seen or been a part of. Um, that's one way for me to get it off of my consciousness is actually to incorporate it into my writing. People don't understand what kind of evil lurks out there in that on this world. Time to top off my coffee. Writer's fuel. A lot of people don't realize what kind of evil's out there. People think, oh, that's just hawksposh. That stuff don't go on. When in reality, it goes on every day. Every single day it goes on. And there's people like me, and like my brothers and sisters who stand up against that evil and try to protect those, the civilians from it. And we can't just talk about it. People that's not part of it will never understand it and look at us differently. So usually we bottle it up inside, and this is one way for me to get it out. Yeah, it is. It is, Muriel. A lot of people thought they were going to tell the Nazis to screw off till they actually came to town. Yeah. And that's the thing is, I spent a career. I mean, and people don't take me seriously, but I spent a career hunting the evil that's out there in this world. And I try to tell my daughters and try to teach them ways to protect themselves. I'm like, oh, Dad, you're just being overprotective, blah blah blah. No, honey, I've seen this. I fought this. There's things that I've seen and done that I can't tell you about. So this stuff is very real, and it's hard to get people to understand it. That one paragraph is too long. I have to shorten it down. That would be a good place to shorten it down. You don't want your paragraphs too long. And this here is pretty long for a paragraph. This is more ideally. I mean, a paragraph is 5 sentences or more, but you don't want way too many in a sentence or in a paragraph. So too many sentences in a paragraph because it gets long, gaunt, and tired. So you got to be able to break it up. So generally, I don't want my paragraphs more than that right there. That's about as big as I want them. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of this stuff that's just how it is. I mean, I get it off me, but you'll never know. You'll never know what I've actually seen or done in my writings because I'll never tell you what it is I've seen or done, but it's there. Once you've seen it, you recognize it like a snake feels. Yeah, mouse. Yeah, yeah. There was a scene I wrote in a book that I started at. I found my notes on called "The People Sentinel." A wrote a soldier's ascent, where they came across a village that was raided by the Picts, and it talks about the smell of burnt human flesh. Um, if you've ever smelt that, or the decay of a human, you've ever smelt that, you'll never forget it. I mean, you'll never forget it. The slightest little things you never thought would trigger it will trigger that memory. Feel the warm embrace of the sun was a much desired feeling. I gotta get to my notes. Yep. This is my notepad for this book. So I've got all my notes of people, places, who's alive, who's not alive, all that's in this book. That's the one I was thinking I haven't written in a while. Crap. Okay. I tilted my head back and closed my eyes. I was soaking it all in. After a few minutes, a familiar voice called out to me. Hey, you lazy fucker. Are you just going to sit around all day while the rest of us work and keep your ass safe? I smiled. It was Mike. It had been a while since we talked. We both had been busy with getting the community up and going, then the fight with the Saints, and lastly, my death match with the Draugr. Hey, Mike, it's been a while. How the hell are you? Are you? We both laughed, and he came and sat on the ground next to me. I tell you, son, I almost lost it when I heard that Draugr had your number punched. We have been through a lot together, and I hate to think how this place would change without you here. Uh, I did. Uh, I did discernments where I used to work, plus picked up DOAs when was EMT in yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, yeah. My experiences is from the military or so, but yeah. It's you'll never forget it. So a little history. Mike and Ron were detectives together at the I can't call it Buchanan. I just forgot the name of it. Roberts County Sheriff's Department, which is the county where St. Joe is. Is actually Roberts was the first name of the county before it came Buchanan. But I can't use Buchanan in the writing, so I went to the original name of the county, which was Roberts. So they were sheriffs together in Robertson County. Hey, Dario. In the Roberts County Sheriff's Department. They were detectives together. Ron had just got promoted from roadie to detective when all this started breaking down. And it was really Ron and Mike who put everything together and was instrumental in saving so many lives when the Risen had come. So, I mean, they were really close friends, and they stood together and created what the community is, what the St. Joe community is now. And they worked together in building it up and making more people. So Mike is very instrumental, and I haven't had a chance to write Mike in for a while, so I wanted to write him in on this part because this is a crucial chapter for the future of the book, which Mike is going to play a big part of. So this was a good spot to bring him back into the focus of the book. That's why I wanted to write Mike in there. And Mike is an old detective. He's been around. He's a veteran detective. He's been around for a while. And he was Ron's mentor when Ron got promoted to detective. And so Mike was showing Ron the ropes and how things work. And they actually came together and figured out, holy crap, this is real. This wasn't no, April Fool's joke or nothing. The Risen is actually the Risen has risen and coming for us. And it was on a case that they were working together. They figured this all out. Now, Mike was an Army veteran, where Ron was a Marine. I nodded that I understood his predicament. I'm sorry, bro. To be honest, I thought I had bitten a big one too. Old man Galt saved my life with the help of something that I'm not sure people would believe existed. Mike chuckled. Hell, Ron, with what is hunting us outside those walls, you'd have to be daft not to believe that other things do not exist. So we're kind of seeing where Mike's not shirking it off. He's a believer. There's other things out there. I mean, hell, the Draugr coming to life is proof enough for him that there's weird things that exist out there that they thought was just myth. But in Return from the Grave, I believe it is. I can't remember which chapter it was. Either The Search or Return from the Grave, chapter 14 or 15. Something actually pulls Ron from the river, which old man Galt runs into and takes it from there. I know I spelt that wrong. Yep, I did. Heather came out with a couple glasses of iced tea. I thought I heard your cantankerous voice out here, Mike. It's good to see you. I have some iced tea for you. It's nice to have power again. Something simple like iced tea seems like a blessing that we took for granted not too long ago. So you kind of seeing how going without something it's like you're part of your normal day to day lives that we just take for granted is a blessing in a time like this that you just never realized. I saw a live boots on ground where someone got zapped with energy. Yeah, I know what you're talking about on that, or so yeah, that's unreal. But something as simple as iced tea is really makes you have a perspective on life that you didn't have before tragedy took place, and that's kind of what we're seeing take place here. I just brain farted. He took the glass with a smile. Thank you, dear. You have the right of it. We took so many things for granted before. It's a shame, really. Oh, I forgot which boy was doing what. Let me see if I got it in my notes. You know, Ron and Heather have two boys, and one of them, each of them's doing their own thing. And I forgot which boy is playing or doing what's taking place in here. And of course, I forgot to put it in my notes. Or three boys, I'm sorry. It's either going to be Marcus or Samuel. I can't remember which is which. I'm going to have to look back in the book because I can't remember. It might be that chapter there. I can't remember if it's Marcus or Samuel who is helping with the farming. Oh, nope. There we go. Samuel. Okay, so there's Samuel. Wait a minute. I think I got names mixed up here. I did. Daggone it. It wasn't Mike, it was Jeff I needed. I'm glad I thought of that. So let me get back here. Jeff was the one. I'm glad it popped in my head. It's like, wait, I'm wrong on that. Jeff was his partner. Mike is Jeff's friend. That happened to pop in my head. Like, wait, I got something mixed up here. Okay. Now I'm back on track. That happens sometimes. Okay. Sorry, guys. Had to make a correction. I do that sometimes. I'll get names mixed up. Let's see if I missed any. I had to step away for. Hey, Auntie, no worries. Heather went back inside, and we both took a long pull from our glasses. I looked at him. How are the farming projects coming along? He set his glass down and leaned back against the wall. They're coming together quickly. Samuel has been spearheading it, and they already have fencing up and cattle coming in. They're clearing out areas for hogs and chickens now, and we now have 4 vegetable gardens going strong. So Ron is like the unspoken leader of the community, I guess you can say. Everybody listens to him. He's really instrumental in bringing this community together and getting it set up. And so people come to him quite often. So he's, in all actuality, he really is the unspoken, leader of the community. Now, the old Sheriff Pratt, has tried undermining him on multiple occasions throughout the book and tried to take power for himself because he's like, well, I was sheriff before. And he's like, yeah, none of that matters now, dude. That lifestyle's gone. But you see a turning of the tide, especially at the beginning. Sheriff Pratt is always trying to take charge, always trying to undermine Ron and Jeff and the others, and always trying to be the boss. And people fight him at every at every twist and turn. And so you start seeing this drama play out between Sheriff Pratt and the others because Sheriff Pratt wants to be in charge. He's got a big head, a big ego, and thinks he should be the supreme ruler. So it was actually Ron, Jeff, and a few others that's really got this community going together strong. And so, I mean, that's what's happening here is, they decided that they wanted to, in order to survive, they're going to need meat. They're going to need vegetables. I mean, at the beginning, all they had was vegetables because that was the only thing that they had available. Once, food started spoiling from no power and they went through all their reserves, they knew they couldn't survive without fresh food. So they started clearing areas, fencing it off for gardens, and clearing areas and fencing it off for livestock. And this is what's going on. And that's kind of what he's talking about. He's trying to get caught up since his time of being gone of what's been going on with the community. How many pages deep am I now? 2, 4, 6. We're on the 6th page, so we've got 2 more pages left. Hey, Vicky. So that's what he's doing. Ron, even though Ron's hurt, and he like narrowly survived death, he's still worried about the community. So we're seeing this play out because, Ron's been the big spearhead of keeping Pratt back, but Jeff's been the other one too. And with Jeff backing Ron and everybody else respecting Ron and seeing that even Jeff's backing Ron's every play that Ron makes, the others back that play too, and that causes a rift between him and Sheriff Pratt. You guys got any questions for me so far? Yeah, this is, like I said, this is to me my idea of what surviving something like this would, how it would actually play out. Because I mean, this is reality. You're going to need this. There's going to be beefs. There's going to be, what can I do to survive? I can't survive just in the moment. I also have to look at the future, and that's what they're doing. Is they're trying to look to the future, how to make this community survive. I can't remember what. I think Jack is looking more towards the military side, if I remember right. Okay, both of them. Okay, so I was right at the beginning. I thought I was wrong at first. Let's see if I missed anybody. I drank mead once, like 3 small bottles. Never drank it before, and I got really intoxicated and was sick all day. I love mead, Muriel. Oh God, I love mead. I'm almost out of mead, and I need some. I'm like I love mead. There's a meadery uh, in a town close by me. That's well, they used to be open. They've closed now, so now I've got to go to another place to get it. But they made some really good meat, but I just found out they closed down. So one of my favorites though is Viking blood. Did I spell that? Yes, I did. That's why it's doing that. Jack and Marcus walked up. I gingerly stood up and smiled at my sons. Hey, boys, it was damn good seeing you. How have you both been? They both smiled and came up and carefully hugged me. Jack sat down to one side of me, and as Marcus sat down on the other side, Jack looked at me. We have been doing well, Father. Been training with Bishop and the other Marines. We cleared out areas that Samuel needs for his projects. Plus, we have built gun towers and upgraded the walls. We are getting ready to make a push for the hospitals. Pratt wants to push fast, but we are going slowly. It's like you have always taught us: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that's actually a military term. It does. It does taste good. You've never had mead, Vicky? Oh my! So okay, a really good one. You can get it at Macadoodles. I don't know if you can get anywhere else. It's called Viking Blood. That's a really good one. If you're lightweight, be careful. It is dangerous stuff, Vicky. You can barely taste. Yeah, yeah, it is. It'll creep on you and quick, man. But I like Viking Blood. We get it from Macadoodles here. I need to get me a couple bottles. Um, uh, I drink. I've got a weakness for mead, about like I do for moonshine. I mean, that's my two go-to drinks. I like to drink when I want something light and easy. I go with Red Apple Ale or Angry Orchard, or Smirnoff. But when I want something good, savory, honey, I love my mead. It's not similar to anything really. Mead is just it's mead, Vicky. It's its own thing. But yes, Muriel's right. It's made with honey. It's absolutely amazing. The local meadery here made it with from local honey. So it depending on what type of flowers it had, depended on the taste of the flowery taste that it had with the honey. But it's absolutely amazing. I love it. Viking blood is really good though. That's an easy one to get, fairly easy one for you to get your hands on. But the drinking Vikings, yeah, I love it. I mean, I do. I mean, moonshine and mead is my go-to. Um, so we're kind of getting a look here. Ron's getting up to date what's happened since he's been out of the fight. Um, you know, his boys have took pivotal roles in the community. You know, Samuel, he's always been a animal person, so he's taken up the farming. Yeah, I love especially apple pie. Orange sherbet's good too, Vicky, and so is green apple. Peach cobbler's really good too. I love apple pie moonshine though. So where Jack and Marcus. So Jack's the oldest. Marcus is the middle son, and Samuel's the youngest. Hey, Carl. So each of them's really got their own personalities, but Jack and Marcus follows more on their parents' footsteps, and so they kind of went that path where Samuel was, Samuel's the youngest. So he was kind of the oddball out. He was the animal person. So two key things needed for survival of the community. You're seeing Ron and Heather's sons take, major roles in this stuff. and that's what's happening. Is That's what's going on here. So you kind of hearing them talk about it and get Ron up to date what's been going on, and that's what they're talking about here. They're when the doctors have, even though they've been using a clinic, um, for injuries and stuff, the doctor's been going like, "Hey, we really need this hospital. It's something that we really, really need. We don't have the technology here to handle some of these injuries, and we're going to lose people if we don't have this." So before Ron got hurt, they had been making a plan to make a push to the hospital. Now, I call the hospital in this book Heartland because it was Heartland East and Heartland West for years and years and years. I guess they're no longer there. They're called something else now. I forgot the name of it. In my book, that's the only thing that's not going to be current is I'm paying homage to the hospital that I was born in, and that's Heartland West. In St. Joe, Heartland West is where the birthings and stuff happened at, and that's where I was born. I was born in Heartland West in St. Joe, Missouri. So to pay homage to that, I have kept the name as Heartland Hospital. And so we're getting ready to make a push to that hospital and clear it out so that we can have a proper working medical facility. And that's what they're kind of talking about here is, Pratt once again is trying to push his influence and get things done his way, how he wants it done. And they're fighting, everybody's fighting him on. It's like, no, this is stupid. This is how people get killed. We got to do this smart. And so you kind of seen that play out as Jack's telling his father Ron what's been going on. Damn it. Marcus chuckled. Yeah, that old bastard thinks he's in charge since you have been gone. None of us listened to him, though. Then he got a serious look on his face. Pop, you need to watch out for him. His ambition is dangerous. I get a bad feeling from him. Yeah, Roxanne's not in the chat today. That's okay. We're just working on the book. So, and like I said, if you guys have got questions, let me know. Got questions about the book, let me know. I'll explain to it as best I can without trying to give too much of the book away. Dang it. This is doing it again. I'll type something and it's not putting it in there. I took another drink from my tea and thought about what my son had just said. I could not dismiss his concerns. He was right on all accounts. I forgot a word. I knew at some point Pratt and I would have to have a come to Jesus moment before he endangers the community. I did not want to exile him, but if he did not change his ways, I would need to bring that possibility up to the others, and we might just have to take that route. I know, son. I've been thinking about that. Let us focus on that later. Right now, we need that hospital. So you see him kind of pride. He knows his son's right, but he's got a pride toward. You're fine, Unreal. No worries. This is actually in takes place in St. Joe, Missouri. Unreal, in its current times. This happens in 2019. You're gonna put Roxanne in timeout. No worries, but yeah. So this happens back in 2019 in St. Joe, Missouri, is where this takes place. How many pages am I at so far? 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so we're almost done with this chapter. Yeah. Eric put a Cajun character in the story. Well, I'm getting ready to introduce a Scottish guy. So who knows, Carl? I might have to have a Scotsman and a Cajun come into the story. And he has a loincloth that is camouflaged with rubber boots and a straw hat and carries a long sword. Has a semi-automatic with a 357 in the holster. Yeah, I'm about to introduce a Scotsman into the story soon, but and carries his boudin with him. Oh yeah, I may have to think about that, Carl, or that might have to be in another book. But yeah, I'm about ready to introduce a Scotsman. You're Irish Cajun for real? Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I mean the Irish are cousins to the Scots. Really, the only difference is location. I see I got a question, I think, so I'm going to wait for it to pop up where I can read. There we go. Based on my YouTube name and idea for a character in a story, you might already know of it. A dogman that terrorizes residents who lives in a house in the area where burial grounds are located. Interesting. Yeah, hit me up on Messenger, Unreal. We'll talk. Same with you, Carl. Hit me up on Messenger. We'll talk. Um, that actually might play into a book that I'm working on. Oh, sorry. We sat there for most of the day talking and laughing. It was a good moment and something that I desperately needed. We talked about what was coming up and the correct approach to it. I had to admit, my boys have really stepped up and became true leaders, and that was a very proud moment for me. I felt easier knowing that if something happened to me, then my boys would pick up the mantle and carry on without me. So you're seeing him. He's always planning on the future. He does not have illusions of grandeur that he's going to survive this whole thing. He's trying to plan for, and it almost happened that he would no longer be here to continue on. So to seeing his boys rise up in the ranks and really take charge and really get into their roles and helping the community, it's a proud moment for him. It's spelled right. So why is it showing up like that? Eventually, Dogman would cease to be active after the burials are found and preservation effort is made. So, yeah, there's a book I'm working on called Brotherhood of the Wolf and Axe, and that takes place in Shell Knob, Missouri, and it's about dogmen. Um, I kind of hit a writer's block on that for a little bit, so I kind of set it aside. Plus, I really needed to finish this book, but that's one of the books I'm getting ready to get back to working on and trying to finish. Um, what is? Let me find that real quick. Brotherhood of the Wolf and Axe Hounds of Death is what that's called. And that's a modern day cryptid horror that takes place in Shell Knob, Missouri. But that's also going that is a prequel of the sagas of Grimson. And even though this book starts out in Shell Knob, the Brotherhood of the Wolf and Axe is actually going to be traveling around the U.S. fighting these dogman creatures that have went astray, I guess is a good way you can say it. And that's kind of what this is based off of. So I've got my Saga of Grimsons, and then the prequels to them, the offshoots of them, is the Ihin Yar series, the Beast of the Ozark series, and the Brotherhood of Wolf and the Axe series. Those three series is based off of and part of the Sagas of Grimson. The idea is based on a documentary of the amusement park at a lake that was closed down over the years because of hauntings and unusual deaths that happened. Bones were found eventually. Oh, oh wow. I need to hear more on that, Unreal. Yeah, you guys, Carl, Unreal, hit me up later. We'll talk. Um, Before we all knew it, night was fastly approaching, and each of them had something that they needed their attention. Jeff was the first to leave. Heather came out and hugged the boys. Samuel had also come back from completing his daily task. Jack and Marcus were about to leave when Heather looked at them. Boys, come in and eat before you leave. I do not get to see you as much these days, and I want to spend some time with you. Now supper is ready and the table is set. Help your father inside and eat. That is not a request; that is an order. Neither of them spoke out about their protest. They each knew how their mother could be if angered. She was a tiny fireball if pissed off. Uh, what are we talking about now? Oh, hey, Auntie. We're talking about the book. I'm still working on the book. Is there a video of an interview with an old? There is a video of an interview with the old lady who lives on the property. If you can find that, send that to me, Unreal. What are you boys doing? I enjoy spending time with my wife and sons. With everything going on these days, we do not get to see much of each other, and I was happy to have us all together once again. I knew the boys had important things that they needed to do, but Heather was right. We needed to have and cherish moments like these. Only the Norns know how many of these we will have in the future. Um, so that's going to pretty much end chapter 16. So once I get done writing a chapter, what I always do is I go and I do what I call my first edit. And I have uh, Microsoft read to me what I've written, and I go through and I'll edit it. And once I'm done editing it, then I send it and I post it on the INYAR tier on Patreon, and I mail it to my INYAR readers. Before I get to that, the dogs are letting me know they got to go potty. So I'm going to play a commercial real quick while I let them take them outside to go potty. So if you guys, take a few minutes, get something to drink if you need to, or enjoy the commercial, and I'll be All right, guys, welcome back. So now comes the first edit. You might be able to hear it talking to me, reading the whole chapter aloud to me. If you wouldn't mind, let me know in the comments if you can. If you can't, I'm sorry. There's not really a whole lot I could do about it. But one of the features I like about Microsoft is if you come up here to review, it has read aloud. So when it comes to my first edit, this is like very, very handy for me. And it's one of the tools besides Grammarly that I have for editing. Um, so I actually listen to it after I finish writing, and it gives me a great idea of how the book's going or if I need to change. And sometimes I got a little bit of changes to do. Sometimes I got a lot. It really just depends. Grammarly is great, but it jacks up a lot of stuff at the same time. I guess in reality, Grammarly's my first edit and read aloud's my second, but this is one of the things I like to do. So here we go.
Chapter 16, The Nightmares.
And you're doing it again. So I'm going to bypass that part and go to that one. Sometimes it
I
doesn't.
got up abruptly, covered in sweat and breathing heavily. Something about my dreams caused me great discomfort, but by the gods, I could not remember it. I painfully got out of bed, holding my arm across my ribs. Each step that I took sent electric pain shooting through my body. I could not find Heather, and I could not hear her in the house. I called out to her in a pain-filled, groggy voice, but she did not respond. The electricity was not working.
Second one down. Uh-oh, it paused on me. Come on, baby. You can work for me. My internet connection. Well, come on now. Why are you lagging this bad? Oh, dogs, you don't have to wait a minute. Give me a second, guys. It's lagging bad.
The electricity was not working.
So it doesn't like. I see what's going on. Give me a second. Not a fan of Microsoft's freaking. We don't like what you're saying. Let's see if that fixes it.
They only had just got it back on. Must be some repairs still yet needed to the system. No matter, the sun was up, and I could see just fine. I slowly walked down the hallway and to the kitchen. The house was empty and eerily quiet.
Can you guys hear
I
it?
made my way to the front door. As I reached my hand out for the door handle, I froze when I heard a familiar sound. A sound that I dreaded every time that I had heard it, and I have heard it more than I can admit throughout my life. It was the unmistakable sound of a gunshot. My eyes enlarged, and I held my breath. I asked myself why someone had fired inside the community. Then what seemed like several minutes, but truthfully it was brought only a few seconds, my fear was amplified as the sounds of multiple gunshots could be heard ringing out the death song. We were under attack, but
I just realized it messed something up here. Changed it up earlier. That's why I have to proofread it, because Grammarly likes to change things. That's actually in the wrong spot. Oops. Okay.
But truthfully it was only about a few seconds. My fear was amplified as the sounds of multiple gunshots could be heard ringing out the death song. We were ringing out their death song. We were under attack, but by what? Are they other survivors, or are they the risen? I opened the door, and the burst of sunlight blinded me momentarily. I lifted my arm to block out the sudden burst of bright light and stood there as my eyes adjusted to it. When the light dimmed, I blinked a couple of times, and the smell of gunpowder lingered heavily in the air. There was no one in sight, and the battle sounds seemed to be coming from the wall. I slowly made my way to the fight. I needed to know what was going on and aid in any way that I could. I had to stop a few times and ease the pain in my body before continuing towards the fight. When I finally made my way to the fight, I could see people running around and could hear the deathly growl of the risen outside the wall. I found an M4 in the back of a Humvee, along with an LBV with fully loaded mags. I gingerly put the LBV on and snapped the cartridge belt into place. I put my arm through the single-point sling and painfully put the strap over my head, and the M4 hung at my chest. I grabbed a full mag from an ammo box and placed it in the magazine well, pulled the charging handle back, and seated around in the chamber. I made my way to the stairs that led up to the top of the wall. I could hear the leaders shouting out commands to the others. By the gods, how many risen have come to feast on our flesh and lay claim to our souls? The fight has gone on for what seems like no end. I knew we must be running low on ammo, for they have been fighting for a long time, and it has not let up. Each step up sent sharp pain riddling through my body, and I stopped a few times, closing my eyes tightly as I waited for the pain to subside. I made my way to the top of the wall, but when I reached the top, something very odd happened. I started to feel the effects of diplopia set in, and I found myself swaying from side to side, almost falling. I had to grab hold of something, then all of a sudden the wall seemed to extend out in both directions. The sounds became echoey and distant. Confusion took hold of my brain. What is happening to me? Then all of a sudden I realized that the faces of the people around me were blurred and I could not make them out. I called out to them, and my voice was quiet and echoey. They did not seem to notice me. No matter how much I called out to them, they never took notice of me, and I began to panic. Something was wrong, and I could not figure it out. I could hear the call of crows off in the distance. I looked around and saw two flying above me. Their call echoed but was clearer than all the other sounds. I found them circling above, calling out to me. Hugin and Munnin, I whispered to myself. Thought and memory are their names in English. I closed my eyes.
It's actually spelled or said Hugin and Moonin. Hey, main house. You're just in time to go over the review of this chapter.
And took a deep breath in. Why do you call to me? Do you have a message for me from the All-Father? They called out to me again. Tell me, am I dreaming or am I dead? Am I to go to Valhalla? Please answer me. They just flew above, but I could feel their eyes looking deep into my soul. They looked to my Hugr. I began to walk again.
So, Hugr is the Norse word for it's like mind illusion. So like an illusion, Mahugr. It's a type of illusional magic. So when you hear someone say, I had some, my Hugr was off. My mind was off. Mahugr.
And now my surroundings seemed to be cloudy. I tried to make sense of what was going on. Fear gripped me tightly, for this was not normal. I looked over the wall, and for as far as I could see, there was nothing but the risen, and all around me seemed to burn, as death came for us all. I brought my M4 up to my shoulder and squeezed the trigger. Every shoot seemed to be in slow motion, and I could...
This is why I like to read it, have it read out to me.
Every shot seemed to be in slow motion, and I could visually trace every round and watch the impact on my intended targets, but they seemed to do nothing. My mouth dropped open, and I froze for a moment. I was helpless to protect the ones that I loved. The risen was coming for us, and there was nothing that I could do to save them or anyone. I dropped to my knees in despair. Why is this happening? Is this our future? Are we not meant to survive the horror that is before us? I reached out to touch the shoulder of one of the Marines, and my hand went through him, and the location where my hand passed through swirled around like a ghostly fog. I stumbled back, and a look of shock was upon my face.
I just realized I messed up. Let's try this again.
I stood back up and reached out to touch the shoulder of one of the Marines, and my hand went through him, and the location where my hand passed through swirled around like a ghostly fog. I stumbled back, and a look of shock was upon my face. I could not believe what had just happened. I screamed out my frustration, but it was quiet and echoed. What is going on with me? It was like I was not even here. No one even acknowledged that I was there. I found myself going insane. I could not figure out what was going on. I frantically tried to get someone to notice me. I failed at every attempt. I dropped to my knees and screamed out my frustration. During my breakdown, something caught my attention. I slowly got up and walked towards this foggy figure that seemed to be watching me. I called out to it. Hello, can you see me? The figure did not respond. I got up and reached for the figure, but it was out of reach. As I took a step forward, it seemed to float that distance back. This puzzled me. Even though my body ached all over and movement was hard on me, I had to catch the figure. I had hopes that it could explain to me what was going on. I did not know if I was alive or if I was dead. The figure led me along the wall. The people of the community, and even the Risen, seemed to be moving slowly. I watched them as I followed the figure. The faces of the Risen were the only ones that I could make out. I was confused by this. Why was it that I could make their faces out, but not those of my community? I continued on. The figure floated further away, and I did not want to lose it. I wanted answers. No, I needed answers. The figure led me to the edge of the wall that was close to the Missouri River. It pointed towards the river, and I took a look. The river was no longer made of water, but of the souls of the dead. Was I looking at the river of Styx? Then I started to get worried. Did I die from my injuries so shortly after being rescued? Am I in the land of the dead? If this is true, then why am I not being taken to Valhalla by the Valkyrie? Have I not done enough to be welcomed into the halls of the slain? Does Odeon forsake me? I turned to the figure to ask it what I was seeing. When I turned to him, my heart stopped. The figure was pointing a pistol at my head. I froze, not knowing what was going on or what to do. Did this figure bring me here to show me what was beyond the wall, to just kill me? There was a flash of light and a quiet, echoed sound of a gunshot, and then there was nothing. I woke suddenly, sweat pouring off me, and breathing heavily. I looked around, and I was in my room, in my bed. Heather rushed in. What is wrong, Ron? What happened? It took me a moment to realize that I was awake and this place was real.
Oh, I just found out that is wrong. You cannot have two words as a sentence. A sentence has to be 3 words or more. So let me correct that. See, Grammarly keeps wanting to do that, and that is not how writing is. You have to have 3 words to be considered a sentence.
What is wrong, Ron? What happened? It took me a moment to realize that I was awake and this place was real. I listened for gunfire, but only heard the birds chirping outside the window. I turned to Heather and took her into my embrace. I am fine now, my love. I just had a bad dream. That is all. I held her for a long moment. After I finished hugging her, she stood up. Well, get yourself ready. I have breakfast made. I want you to sit outside and soak in some of the sunlight. It will aid in your healing. I smiled at her and watched her leave the room. I loved watching her leave, but hated to see her go. That was a joke between us. I got up and put on a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. My body ached, but I just muscled through the pain. I made my way to the kitchen and sat at the table. Heather poured me a cup of coffee and placed a plate of bacon, sausage, eggs, and toast in front of me. It smelt amazing, and my stomach growled in excitement for the meal it was about to receive. After I finished breakfast, Heather helped me outside. She had a chair out there just waiting for me to sit in it. I did as she had asked of me, and I will admit the sun's light felt amazing. Between being stowed up in the meat plant and then my home, to feel the warm embrace of the sun was a much desired feeling. I tilted my head back and closed my eyes. I was soaking it all in. After a few minutes, a familiar voice called out to me. "Hey, you lazy fucker. Are you just going to sit around all day while the rest of us work and keep your ass safe?" I smiled. It was Jeff. It had been a while since we talked. We both had been so busy with getting the community up and going, then the fight with the Saint, and lastly, my deathmatch with a Draugr.
Oops.
Then the fight with the Saints, and lastly, my deathmatch with a Draugr. "Hey Jeff, it's been a while. How the hell are you?" We both laughed, and he came up and sat on the ground next to me. "I tell you, son, I almost lost it when I heard that Draugr had your number punched. We have been through a lot together, and I hate to think how this place would change without you here." I nodded that I understood his predicament. "I am sorry, bro. To be honest, I thought I had bitten the big one, too. Old Man Galt saved my life, with the help of something that I am not sure people would believe existed." Jeff chuckled. "Hell, Ron, with what is hunting us outside those walls. You would have to be daft to not believe other things do not exist." Heather came out with a couple of glasses of iced tea. "I thought I heard your cantankerous voice out here, Mike. It is good to see you." "I thought I heard your cantankerous voice out here, Jeff. It is good to see you. I have some tea for Jens. It is nice to have power again. Something simple like iced tea seems like a blessing that we took for granted not too long ago." He took the glass with a smile. "Thank you, dear. You have the right of it. We took so many things for granted before. It is a shame, really." Heather went back inside, and we both took a long pull from our glasses. I looked at him. "How are the farming projects coming along?" He set his glass down and leaned back against the wall. "They are coming together quickly. Samuel has been spearheading it, and they already have fencing up and cattle coming in. They are clearing out an area for hogs and chickens now, and we now have 4 vegetable gardens going strong." Jack and Marcus walked up. I generally stood up and smiled at my sons. "Hey boys, it is damn good seeing yins. How have you both been?" They both smiled and came and carefully hugged me. Jack sat down to one side of me, and as Marcus sat on the other side, Jack looked at me. "We have been doing well, Father. Been training with Bishop and the other Marines. We cleared out an area that Samuel needs for his projects, plus we have built gun towers and upgraded the walls. We are getting ready."
Just noticed that mistake.
"We cleared out areas that Samuel needs for his projects, plus we have built gun towers and upgraded the walls. We are getting ready to make a push for the hospitals. Pratt wants to push fast, but we are getting ready to make a push for the hospital. Pratt wants to push fast, but we are going slowly. It is like you have always taught us. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast." Marcus chuckled. "Yeah, that old bastard thinks he is in charge since you have been gone. None of us listens to him, though." Then he got a serious look on.
What do you guys think? Should I change it to listen or listens? To me, listens doesn't sound right. None of us listen to him, though. None of us listens to him, though. I guess listens is correct, so I'll keep it in there.
Then he got a serious look on his face. Pop, you need to watch out for him. His ambition is dangerous. I get a bad feeling from him. I took another drink from my tea and thought about what my son had just said. I could not dismiss his concerns. He was right on all accounts, and I knew at some point, Pratt and I would have to have a come to Jesus moment before he endangers the community. I did not want to exile him, but if he did not change his ways, I would need to bring that possibility up to the others, and we might just have to take that route. I know, son. I have been thinking about that. Let us focus on that later. Right now, we need that hospital. We sat there for most of the day talking and laughing. It was a good moment and something that I desperately needed. We talked about what was coming up and the correct approach to it. I had to admit, my boys have really stepped up and become true leaders, and that was a very proud moment for me. I felt easier knowing that if something happened to me, then my boys would pick up the mantle and carry on without me. Before we all knew it, night was fastly approaching, and each of them had something that needed their attention. Jeff was the first to leave. Heather came out and hugged the boys. Samuel had also come back from completing his daily task. Jack and Marcus were about to leave when Heather looked at them. Boys, come in and eat before you leave. I do not get to see Jens much these days, and I want to spend some time with you. Now supper is ready, and the table is set. Help your father inside and eat. That is not a request, that is an order. Neither of them spoke out about their protest. They each knew how their mother could be if angered. She was a tiny fireball if pissed off. I enjoyed spending time with my wife and sons. With everything going on these days, we do not get to see much of each other, and I was happy to have us all together once again. I knew the boys had important things that they needed to do, but Heather was right. We needed to have and cherish moments like these. Only the Narans know how many of these we will have.
I just realized I spelled that wrong.
Only the Norns know how many of these we will have in the future.
All right, guys, that is chapter 16, the nightmares. So that's not bad. We got 128 pages, 42,979 words. So we're doing pretty good. I want to try to reach for that 56,000 word mark. That's generally where I like to have my books at. I don't generally like it under 54,000. So we're right there. I mean, we are approaching it rapidly. Chapter 17 is going to be focused on their push for the hospital. So we're going to look at that. We're going to see some odd things happening too. Thank you, Unreal. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I haven't done one of these in a while where I was working on my book, and I like doing that so you guys can ask questions and kind of see how it works. And I've got to get this saved, get it out to my IHNYAR readers, and let them look over it, see what they think. I hope you guys enjoyed this. So you guys got any last questions or comments? Being we're done with this one now. I haven't figured up a title name for chapter 17 yet, but I'll be getting to work on that today, most likely. Tomorrow, I don't know if I'm going to have time cutting. I've got a brother that's going to be brother and some friends coming out to help me get some wood cut and chopped. So tomorrow I'll be a little busy, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love writing. It's very therapeutic for me. It helps out a lot. And you're welcome, Main House. So I don't know if William's got a show tonight. As far as I know, he does. So if he does, I'll see you guys tonight. Unreal, Carl, like I said, message me, hit me up. We'll talk about some of that stuff. Um, a lot of that, what you're talking about, Unreal, fits with that one book of mine that can go into the future book. Who knows? It might end up being the ending of this current book that leads into the future one. So, but yeah, like I said, any comments or questions on what we've got going on with Reign of the Draugr, Dawn of Armageddon so far? This is like most of my books is Norse based, so words like Hugr are in there. Odin and the gods, all that is in there because that's just basically who I am. So that is an essence of me that's always in my books. Is the Norse and Dane and all that type of writing because that's just who I am. So that's why that is always going to be a part of me that's in the books. I like to incorporate other things in there as well. Now, some of my books, like my historical fictions, unless it's like Viking Age, Secrets of Mercia, that is Norse base. But the ones that I'm working on dealing with the Lost Savannah, the Lost Legios Ninth Havana, that's Roman, so that's going to be Roman based. The People's Sentinel, a soldier's ascent, well, that's going to be more British based because, well, that's just what they are. So when I do historical stuff like that, yeah, Vikings are not necessarily, the Norse mythology, Norse ways, not really going to be in those books a whole lot because it's just not historical accurate. But I had spent like 2 days doing research on that one book idea I had. The People's Sentinel, a soldier's ascent, because I wanted to make sure that it's historically accurate. And I went back to the oldest text about this character that I'm writing about in that book. But that is up. I'm getting it uploaded on Patreon for my NER readers. I'll get that out to them. Then I've got to get this new chapter out to them as well. Yeah, that's true, Main House. That's true. So I mean, that's just my style of writing because that's what I like. They do, and in a lot of the Norse, Dane, Scandinavian, Swedes, and all that, those type of people, which is all comes of what we know as Vikings nowadays. Vikings, it was a way of life. One would go a Vikinger is what it was called. It means they were pirates. They were sea wolves. Um, the people on ground that was going against armies and stuff like that, they were called Draugr. That they practiced Ringskapi, which was a warrior's code, a warrior's way of life. Vikings was not a religion. That was just, you was either a Vikinger or you went out a Viking, which means you went out to pirate, you went out to raid. So it'd be like saying that, hey, Main House and Unreal, join me. We're going to go out Vikinging. We're going to go out pirating and raiding. So most of your Norse people, Danes, Swedes, Scandinavian, stuff like that, they practice Ringskapi. They didn't go a Vikinging. They may have from time to time, but that was not the main focus on that way of life. It was Ringskapi is what most of them focused on. Some with unreputable, they went in Viking on other Norse or other, Danes and stuff like that. It wasn't just other countries. They would literally go out and see and capture boats, Dane boats, Norse boats, Swede boats, and a Viking in them. So they were pure Vikingers. They were just pirates. Yeah, yeah, no kidding, Bounty. Yeah. Anymore, you ain't wrong there. Yeah, corporations are the Vikings nowadays. But yeah, the actual name is not Viking, it's Viking. That's how you actually say it. That's the true way of saying it, a Viking. You go out the Vikinging or They are Vikingers. That is the correct way of saying it. Vikings is the Western way of saying it. The correct way is a Viking. Like if I was to say Bounty, hey, Bounty, she's a Viking. That's how you would actually say. You wouldn't say, hey, Bounty, she's a Viking. You would say she's a Viking. And that's one thing I like to when I do my shows and do my books, to get people to understand. Valhalla is a Western term. The actual term is what's in my books. Vahol. Each Draugr wanted to go Vahol, to the halls of the slain, Odin's hall. Vahol. Would you say they didn't settle anywhere else for a long time? They only main place I can think is Normandy is only so Norway, Norway was one place they settled. See, now what we consider Vikings nowadays is a Germanic tribe. So there was multiple Germanic tribes. There was the Saxons, there were the Anglos, there were the Scandinavians, the Swedes, the Finns, the Danes, the Norse. They were all part of a Germanic tribe. And that's why the languages are very similar. It's like a Southerner talking to a Yankee. We know the same language. Sometimes we get confused on it because the dialect is different, but that's how it was. So a lot of people don't know. During the old times, when Rome left Britain, they were known as Britons. That was just one type. Two Germanic type tribes came through and conquered most of Britain, which was the Saxons and the Anglos. That's where you get Anglo-Saxon. But the Anglos and Saxons were raiders, and they raided Britain and took over land, and that's how they became incorporated in with Britain, was because of that. And then later on, other Germanic tribes raided England. By the start of my ancestor, Ragnar Lothbrok, he was a Dane. He came in and opened a way to England, which brought in the other Germanic tribes, the Danes, the Norse, the Swedes, list goes on and on and on. Back before the Saxons and the Anglos came to Britain, the British were fighting the Picts and the Scots. They were constantly fighting, and the Picts are the ones that held the Britons off, or the Romans off. So when the Rome left Brittany, Brittany was left to the Britons, and now they were facing the Picts and the Scots on their own. So it's been a long history of fights over. Brittany is probably one of the places that's been fought over the most. But there's actually a lot of Germanic influence in Britain because of the Saxons, the Anglos, and all the others. So that's a good question, Unreal. But yeah, they settled. They were known to settle in many places because they were always looking for more land and more fertile land. Norway was a harsh place. It was hard to grow, very, very short growing season. So if they can take over a land that had a good growing season, they can go there, grow, and bring their food back to Norway. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of that stems, I'm Cherokee, Comanche, Lakota, German, Irish, English, Scottish, Norwegian, and Dane. So my German, my Scottish, my Irish, my English, my Norse and Dane, that all stems because of what happened back in the old days. That's why that's the melting pot. And that's why I always tell people there's no such thing as a pure race anymore. We're all mixed raced. The days of pure race is gone. It's been long gone for many, 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 many years. Power is always taken by force. It is never given away because of someone politely. Yeah, you're right. And back in them days, it was extremely common to raid your neighbor and take what they have. And that's where the saying, the strong will inherit over the meek, because it was whoever was stronger got it at the time. Yeah. So great questions, great comments, guys. I appreciate you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. This is something I like to do from time to time. I've not been able to do a writer's workshop in a while. So like I said in the beginning of the show, I wanted to kind of incorporate, writing in my book with writer's workshop on this one here, because it does kind of coincide side by side. So what I think the future of this show is going to be is I will have guest authors on from time to time, but also when I do a live working on a book, it will now take place under this, which is Writer's Workshop. Yeah, that's true, Bounty. So I hope if you guys like that idea of me, instead of just doing lives of working on books, incorporating that into Writer's Workshop, let me know. If you want me to keep the two separated, let me know. This is kind of a test run to see what you guys thought, because in my mind, this kind of works side by side with it. So with that being said, if there is a show tonight on Williams, I'll see you then. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, like, share, comment, subscribe. That helps build everything up. And I look forward to hearing what you guys think of the book so far. I like to hear you think both should be separate. So I should keep the writer's workshop where I'm interviewing authors, and then my writing is different. If I'm understanding you correctly, Maine. But so with that being said, you guys, peace, love, and blessings to you all. And once again, thank you for joining me for a spur moment. Hey, let's do some writing together, let you guys kind of get a look at it. Yes, let each show stand on its own. Both are great. Okay. Well, I'll come up with if that seems to be a common agreement amongst everybody, I will try to come up with a show title for writing books. If that's what everybody likes, I'm game for it. I'll do what works for you. This is cool to learn and listen. Much love. Thanks, Bounty. Yeah. I can come up with another show title for when I'm writing my books to keep it separate. I need to reach out to the one lady about doing a show. I haven't reached out to her lately because I've had a lot going on, and I haven't done one of these in a while. So I figured I could bind two of these together. So I will be reaching out to her soon to have her make a guest appearance on the Writer's Workshop show, and we kind of get to see her way of writing, her style, her way of thinking. So I love that idea. So with that being said, man, peace, love, and blessings to everyone, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Bye.